Hello and welcome to Watch Releases Recap for the week of July 26 until August the 2nd. Let's begin with the new Panerai Luminor Logo 44, reference PAM 01624. In many ways, this watch represents a traditional Panerai through and through. You have time only on a dial, there is the sub-seconds hand at the 9 o'clock position, and of course you have that proprietary lock system for the crown. The case is also very hefty, 44 millimeters in diameter. The watch represents 100 meters of water resistance, and it's made out of stainless steel. It features a domed sapphire crystal, this very nice shade of green on the dial, and a hand-wound movement. Now, it's important to point out that this is a pretty cool movement. Panerai has been working on these movements for a while. It's a caliber P6000. It beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It has 19 joules and 72 hours of power reserve. This watch comes on a brown leather strap, but also as an extra bonus, you get a free rubber strap as well. Now, it's not a cheap watch. It's a limited edition to boutiques only. I think you can also buy it online, and this one is priced at 6,200 euro. The new Hamilton Khaki Navy BeLOWZERO. At a first glance, this watch looks very familiar because it's actually very similar to already existing Hamilton models, most notably the watch that was featured in the movie Tenet. Well, this new diver comes in a titanium case. It is actually exactly the same case diameter and dimensions as the Tenet one. It comes in a 46 millimeter diameter. It's almost 16 millimeters in case height. It features 1000 meters of water resistance, and as I mentioned, it's made out of titanium. Now, the difference between this watch and the Tenet one is, of course, the color. This one features that combination of black and yellow. Some people will like it, especially Wiz Khalifa. Some people will not. It might be a little bit too loud for some people. But needless to say, this is a very large watch. You have to have some pretty manly wrists to pull this watch off. But if you do, and if you have a preference for watches like this, well, hey, now there is a new option added. As far as the movement for this one, it's powered by the caliber H10, which is based on ETA Powermatic 80. It comes with 25 joules. It beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and it has 80 hours of power reserve. These watches will not be a limited edition. They're added to the standard catalog, and they're priced at $1,745. But worry not, just wait a little bit, and I'm sure these watches will be popping up on the gray market for probably $500 less. Seiko Prospex Divers, Zakynthos, reference SBGA507 Europe-Exclusive watch. So this new model is actually based on an existing model, the SBGA143 or 147. There's a bunch of them in the catalog. This one here is in the same case with the same bracelet, just with a different dial and a slightly different bezel. Based on the name of this watch, you probably already guessed it's a Europe exclusive release, which is kind of strange. Why make it Europe exclusive? Just make it worldwide, but hey, Seiko does weird things. It comes in a 40.5 millimeter case diameter. It's about 13.2 millimeters in case height, 46.5 millimeters lug-to-lug distance, so it should wear pretty well on majority of wrists. It comes with 200 meters of water resistance, and these ones are powered by the caliber 6R35 in-house automatic movements. They beat at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 24 joules, and they have 70 hours of power reserve. It's an okay movement for a watch in this sort of under $2,000 category. It's okay, but could be better. Now, these ones do come with a sapphire crystal. You do have to point it out because it is a Seiko. And as I said, the claim to fame of this watch is the dial. It features this sort of gradient dial inspired by Greek island. That's why the name. And what I especially appreciate about this dial is the fact that it does have a bit of texture. I think that overall looks pretty sharp. It's very clearly a summer watch. This is the type of watch you would wear on vacation, to the beach, etc., etc. I think kind of late to release a watch like this. I understand it's still summer, but we're heading towards the end of summer, at least in Europe. That's where this watch will be sold. So maybe releasing this watch in May or early June would have been a better choice, but hey, that's just what I think. As far as the pricing of this one, as I said, it's a limited edition exclusive to European market only. It's limited to 1,000 pieces, and these ones are priced at 1,500 euro. Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra collection, now in Moonshine Gold. This was a bit of a strange release from Omega because there was no official press release, no press photos, things like that. They just kind of quietly dropped it on their website. And the only reason why I know that this watch exists is because of Monochrome Watches. So thank you, Monochrome Watches, for posting these articles. And by the way, whatever watches I mention in this video, usually there is an article related to it from the website that I got the news from, linked in the description of this video in case you want to read more about the watch, because of course I'm making these videos very compact, so I'm not talking about the history, etc, etc. But nevertheless, coming back to this Omega release, it is essentially the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra in 41mm, available now with 3 different combinations. There are 2 green dial combinations, one on the rubber strap, one on a full Moonshine gold, which is of course Omega's version of yellow gold. I think it looks very attractive. I really like that green and gold combination, very sharp. There's also the 2-tone black dial version. So these are the only versions available right now. I'm guessing they're releasing these models first to see how the market reacts, and then soon we're gonna see the blue dial version. We're also gonna see the black dial version for the full gold, etc, etc. You know how Omega does it. As far as the sizing, it's exactly the same as the standard Aqua Terra 41mm, 41mm diameter, 13.6mm case height, 48mm length, and this one is available with 2 different movements. There's the 8900 and 8901 movement. Depending on which version you go for, both movements are coaxial master chronometer certified movements with 60 hours of power reserve. These watches are not a limited edition, they are added to the standard catalog, and of course they are very expensive, as you would expect from a gold case watch. The one on the rubber strap is 24,200 euro. The one on the full gold bracelet with a gold case is 42,500 euro. And the one with the 2-tone bracelet, the stainless steel and the Moonshine gold, that one is 14,800 euro. Omega has also released a couple of smaller watches. So the ones that I just talked about were 41mm. There's also a couple of 38mm versions available. These ones come with a blue or burgundy dial. The blue dial is available in all gold case with a gold bracelet. The burgundy dial is only available as a 2-tone option. Now these ones, as I mentioned, are 38mm in diameter. They're about 12.3mm in case height. They're made out of 18 karat Moonshine gold, 150 meters of water resistance. And these are powered by the caliber 8800, which has slightly lower power reserve, 55 hours, as opposed to the previous version. Now these watches are a bit cheaper because of course less gold and smaller size. So this one, for the full gold version, it's about 38,600 euro, and for the 2-tone version is 14,100 euro. And they are part of the standard catalog, not a limited edition. There are a couple of new Grand Seikos released, reference SBGA507 and 509. These are US exclusives. So the Seiko that we talked about was Europe exclusive. These 2 new Grand Seikos are US market exclusives, and I actually think they look pretty cool. Just like a lot of other Grand Seikos, these ones are apparently inspired by Sun Lake somewhere. I don't really see it. They're also inspired by this painting style that's very popular in Japan, and I see that element, at least to the dials. The dial does kind of look like it features brush strokes, which I do appreciate. Now, of course, looking at the dial, you can right away see that it's powered by the spring drive movement. First of all, because it says spring drive by the 6 o'clock position, but secondly, because it does have that power reserve indicator between 7 and 8. And I know a lot of people will hate this watch just because of that power reserve indicator. I'm not one of those people. I think it looks all right. The movement powering this watch is the caliber 9R65. It has 72 hours of power reserve. It's a very accurate movement, and I'm not including a beat rate because it has essentially a fully smooth glide to the seconds hand. These watches come in that iconic 44GS case, which fits majority of wrists just fine. 44mm case diameter, 12.5mm case height. I think these watches look and wear beautifully, and they are made out of stainless steel. These are not the titanium versions. I think at this point it's becoming a bit cliche to praise the dials of these Grand Seikos and bash the bracelets, but nevertheless, the bracelets are still not updated. Why Grand Seiko? Why just upgrade the bracelets? I also have another slight complaint about this watch. It's not really a complaint, but I think too much of a good thing is not great. I think at this point there are so many limited release Grand Seikos that it becomes a lot less special. It's very difficult for someone like me who's a big sort of watch enthusiast to keep track of all these Grand Seiko watches, let alone just a standard person. I guess maybe that's not the point. Maybe you just kind of go into the store and you buy the watch that looks cool. But nevertheless, I think it'd be nice to have a more focused, streamlined Grand Seiko catalog, but maybe that's just my opinion. These watches will be a limited edition, 300 pieces for each color variation, and they're priced at $5,600 US. As I said, they're exclusive to US markets. So if you live in Europe or somewhere in Asia, you would probably have to use a proxy server, maybe a US mailbox. There are ways to get this watch if you really want one, but really you probably don't want the hassle because there are other very similar Grand Seiko watches with similar dials that are available worldwide instead of being a limited edition. The new Certina DS Action Diver Chrono. I am quickly becoming a pretty big fan of Certina watches. I think they're releasing some really good value for money timepieces. This new DS Action Diver Chrono is no exception. It is very large, so you have to have a large wrist. That's just my preface, a bit of warning here, because it's a 44mm case diameter. It's over 16mm in case height, partially due to high water resistance, 300 meters, partially due to the fact that this one does feature an automatic chronograph movement, ETA caliber A05.231, which is essentially a modified BeLOWZERO 7550 with an increased power reserve. This new movement features 68 hours of power reserve, and it has 29 joules, beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour. This watch is available in 3 different colors. There is the one only available on the NATO strap. It sort of features this kind of cream gold like dial with gold accents on the bezel. I should point out that the bezel inserts are ceramic. There's also the black dial version and the blue dial version with matching bezels. Out of the 3 available, probably my favorite is the blue bezel, blue dial version. I think that looks pretty sharp. I like the overall balance on the dial. There's the date at the 6 o'clock position, and there are 2 sub-registers for the chronograph timekeeping. Overall, not a bad watch if you have a big wrist, and I think pretty fairly priced. These are priced around $2,000 to $2,200 US, depending on whether you go for the one on the NATO strap or the one on the bracelet. So well done, Certina, but again, if you have big wrists. The new Christopher Ward Trident Pro 300 GMT. So the Certina was made for people with big wrists. The Christopher Ward Trident GMT is actually made for people with sort of medium to smaller size wrists, because this watch comes in a 40mm case diameter. It's an evolution of this Trident Pro 300 line of watches. There are quite a few different offerings, divers. Now we have a GMT, and I think the GMTs actually look very attractive. There are a few different color combinations. Probably my favorite is the black dial, or maybe it's like dark blue dial with a 2-tone bezel. I think that looks pretty sharp. As I mentioned, it comes in a 40mm case diameter. It's under 12mm in case height, 11.8 to be exact. So super thin, especially since it comes with the GMT movement and 300 meters of water resistance. These GMTs are powered by the Sellita SW330-2. It's a quick-set date hacking collar GMT movement. Unfortunately, it's a collar, not a traveler GMT movement. It beats at 4 Hz or 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 25 joules and a slightly increased power reserve to 56 hours. As far as the pricing goes, I think that's the best part about these watches. They're still fairly affordable. They start at about $1,200 for the one on the rubber strap, and they sort of go up depending on which bracelet you go for. The most expensive version is about $1,450 USD, which is still not bad. The new Hanhart Fly Navy Aerospace special edition. Hanhart is a German brand with a pretty long history. They have been a supplier for German forces for a pretty long time, and now there is this new limited edition. I'm actually really glad that this watch came out because a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I was talking about a Breitling that was releasing these limited edition watches, partnering up with specific squadrons or partnering up with specific academies within the Air Force, the US Air Force, and I thought it was kind of strange to buy one of these watches, to have one of these watches released to the public. If you're not part of these specific squadrons, or if you didn't graduate from this specific academy, why would you buy one? I just thought it was overly specific. So watches like this coming out kind of gives me a chance to explain what I meant, because a lot of people in the comment section started sort of complaining about me complaining about that. So I think if the watch is just sort of representing the Navy or the Air Forces or the Army, that's cool, right? It's very general. So that kind of makes sense, and I would personally buy one of those watches. But if the watch is very specific, if it's representing like a specific squadron within the Navy, then it becomes a little bit stranger, because I think you just have to be a member or have somebody else be a member of that squadron to buy one of those watches. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just sort of my weird thing. But nevertheless, so that's the distinction that I wanted to make sort of from all those weeks ago. Now, these watches are limited to 150 pieces each, depending on which caseback you get, because they are part of two different sort of naval squadrons that fly helicopters and planes at a very low altitude for the German armed forces, for the German Navy. So they are sort of limited edition, and they are very specific, which kind of brings up my problems with the Breitling. Same thing here. I think you probably have to be part of these special forces within the Navy, or at least I don't know, have some family or ties to the forces to really get the full effect of owning a watch like this. But looking at the design of it, it's pretty attractive. It kind of reminds me of Tudor Pelagos in some way. I really like the combination and the contrast between the blue dial and the blue bezel with yellow accents. That looks pretty sharp. This watch is pretty reasonable, 42mm case diameter, just about 13mm in case height. They're powered by the Sellita SW200 automatic movement that beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 38 hours of power reserve. And these watches are priced at 1,500 euros for the textile strap one, and about 1,700 euros for the one on the stainless steel bracelet. I think both prices are somewhat reasonable for a watch like this with this type of quality. And that's it for this week's releases. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future, and leave a comment. Let me know what releases stood out to you personally. I do read majority of the comments, probably 99%. Sorry if I'm not able to reply all the time, but I do read them. And a lot of people, a lot of very nice viewers mentioned that watching these watch releases became sort of their part of the morning routine. And part of my morning routine became reading your comments, sort of reacting to the videos, which was also quite a nice sort of bonus other than making these videos, because I would be reading the news about these watch releases anyways, but now at least I get an outlet to share the news with somebody else. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye.